David,
Yes,
if
sir.
you look at actual Twitch, not at the
I just looked up and I'm seeing a ton.
So there you go. I just
These.
put a hospital bill up on the actual Twitch screen. It's currently over all of you. So that's like what.
How much of the insurance would pay that? Not that that matters.
That's what. This is a woman who posted this last year. She had a cesarean section in a hospital in Philadelphia, and then was in the hospital for like 2 days.
The anesthesia was 40K, and the operating room services was 21K. I mean, I take it the insurance, if someone had insurance, this would all be covered under their insurance?
Well, good Lord, no.
Maybe a sizable portion of it.
Yeah, I think my sister-in-law spent like $5,000 and she had insurance.
Oh, well, then that's okay, because if I mean, we're taking money off the big corporations then, aren't we?
Yeah, sure.
So here's an example.
Christ, man.
I found a smaller number one, like a more typical one. So they bill $27,000, and then the insurance company pays 26.5.
So you talking about like a deductible, $500 or something, or
$700? It was a $750 amount due to the patient off of this. I can post the specific picture in chat.
Yeah, blood tests are nuts if you don't have insurance and you don't like negotiate it. So I have to have blood tests for my daughter every 6 months because she has thyroid issues. And one time I had to just go to the hospital to get it done, and it was $900 for like drawing some blood. And the insurance company, when they pay for it, they paid $18.
Hang on, I'm putting Dude Snap's image up. Hang on. So that's the one you just sent.
Luckily, I have an endocrinologist that actually saw the issue there, and so he pre-negotiated rates and got it down to them giving the insurance rate to me back when I didn't have insurance, and so I was only having to pay like $20 or whatever it was. But
just to be clear, this example that we're looking at here, this isn't a happy story. This isn't they only paid $750 out of $27K. They shouldn't be paying anything. This is I didn't realize people could pay that much for these kind of things. I knew like insulin was like 10 times more than it should be and stuff, but this stuff in like hospitals, operations, and at 40 grand, 40 grand for anesthesia, that is just, that blows my mind.
We talked about this a bit as well in Dude Snaps' stream earlier, that a lot of these costs are so artificially inflated that like when people talk about how are we going to pay for this, it's like they don't realize that under Medicare for All, a lot of these prices are just naturally going to plummet. Like you're going from a $900 blood drawing to a $20 blood drawing, right? So even if you're going to pay that over the taxes, it's still going to be $880 less that's going to need to be paid, which is like easily going to be taken from taxes or whatever. It's like, so looking at this massive amount of bills and all these prices, and something like skin on skin contact after a birth, there's like no reason to charge for that other than capitalism. So there's just so many costs that are just naturally going to plummet and just become so much less under Medicare for All.
Because they're standardized too. Like, so a lot of the excuse that for the high prices as well, not everyone pays, right? So we have to make it up elsewhere. And so the middle class gets stuck with the bill as it is today.
Oh yeah, and propaganda. So the specific, we were reading through the whole, it took 3 hours, but we read through his whole disability plan, and one of the things was specifically mentioned that's part of Medicare for All, sort of, or adjacent to it, is making it so that nobody has to pay more than $200 a year for all of their prescription drugs, period. So if you have prescription drugs, you will only pay up to $200 a year for that, like of your own money, on top of like whatever you pay for Medicare for All. Period. And then past that, it's just all whatever.
Which we need to
Get
push
them
back on, because
Yeah.
that's bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, 200.
Just thinking that, I'm like, why the fuck pay anything? I don't pay anything
Yeah.
in Scotland, and even just down to the border, they
Sweden and
pay.
Denmark.
You do pay, yeah.
Yeah, we pay for prescription medicine up to a certain amount.
Oh, you
which
do it that
is
way?
Way more
Well,
than $200.
Right. Well, see, in England and the rest of the UK, Scotland doesn't do this because we're fucking awesome. But in the rest of the UK, it's £9 an item. That's like, well, you know, that's going to be about like €8-9, and that's going to be like maybe $12 per item in England. And there's no cap. If you go to £400, then that's what you spend. But £9 per item. Up in Scotland, oops, I just did the fucking thing with the OK sign. Up in Scotland,
Yeah.
Oh no.
I know,
and David.
cancelled.
Crypto
Up in Scotland, it's zero. You pay $0 per item, and that is for all, you know, for everything. As high as it goes, it doesn't matter. It's free for everything.
Yeah, I just don't like. What about the people that don't have the $200? We just say, "Oh, sorry," to them.
You get
So
shy.
I feel like I'd have to go through it again. I need to go through Medicare for All. I haven't actually gone through the thing. It's a whole bill, you know. It's
Do it.
he wrote it.
Mhm.
He wrote the damn
He
thing.
wrote the damn bill.
bill.
Might take a while to go through, but I feel like I remember something about assistance for people who couldn't afford prescriptions. I feel like that's in there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
Yeah,
still,
it's just, to me, I just don't think, like, it kind of, the whole
pills
point
cost
is
like 12 cents max. Like, come on.
and the whole point of this is just so that you don't, like, when you're sick, you get help and you don't have to think about what's in your bank account. You just get help.
Sick, get help.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I get
I agree.
he's working, you know, he's trying to, you know, we're doing the best we can do, but I think we do need to push back on that when the time comes that, no, you don't pay for anything ever.
This
So
is
here, wait,
one
hang
of
on.
my, when I moved to Sweden from Denmark, this was actually one of the things that really shocked me, because in Denmark, I have to pay for prescription medicine, and I also do have to do that here in Sweden. But if I'm going to see a doctor, I make an appointment with my general doctor, and I go to see him, and there's no money out of pocket. But if I have to go and see a doctor here in Sweden, I have to pay 20 euro when I go to the doctor before I'm allowed to talk to the doctor. So even if the doctor says, yeah, it's gonna go, but there's nothing I can do. There's nothing, like, just gonna have to wait. I've still paid 20
So
euro.
you pay it up front, you walk in, you go, I've got this little mark here, what's this? Goes, oh yeah, that's blah, blah, blah. That'll be away in about 2 weeks. Right, see you later. You've still had to pay that
Or like
£20.
come back in 2
€20.
weeks, and then I have to pay another, like.
Oh yeah, repeat. Yeah, they've got to repeat that shit.
And it's still like $20 is nowhere near €20 is nowhere near covering like any of the expense, like the pay or anything. So it's a low cost. I get that, and Swedish people are like, oh, but it's practically nothing. But it's still like, I come from Denmark, and I'm not used to paying anything. I'm used to paying 0 crowns when I go to see a doctor, right? And it's just, it's really like, I feel like, even though I could, like, I don't have that much money, but and it is something like, I do consider, like, is that an expense I can deal with this month? But I generally can. It's not that much of an expense, but it's still something I'm now, like, a mental barrier for me to call up the
Another layer of
the
stress.
place and say, hey, I have this or this issue, and I would really like to talk to someone, have someone look at it. And it's just like, oh, but what if they say I have to talk to a doctor? And it's like, then I have to pay the 20 euro. And is that something I can do this month? Or is it like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Right, so I try not to jump in too much on these, but I talked about before how I'm slowly going blind, and I have a whole bunch of like different eye drops and medicines I have to take, and then I
Shit,
have
man. Didn't know
specialists and
that.
doctors I have to go to every like quarter or so, and I have to do testing. And I have decent health insurance because my wife has a real job. So she's like one of the 30% of the people in the country who gets like good health care through work with like a limited copay. And even for me, like half my prescriptions are like $10 because they're, generics. And then the other two I get because they're still like under an IP or an exclusivity or whatever. I pay like $180 a month for both of those. And then every time I have to go to a specialist for something different, I have to first go to a general doctor, like a GP, a general practitioner. I have to get examined, and then they have to give me like an official referral to a specialist. And then I can start calling around to my specialists that I have to cross reference with my insurance list of providers for specialists, which is small and rotates every few months. Then I have to try to get an appointment, and it's between 2 to 3 months to get the appointment. And then when I
Look at
finally
the two non-Americans like
get
this.
all the testing redone again, because I sent them information from 3 months ago. So between the amount of time I burn and the wacky nature of it, it's like its own full-time job that I don't get paid to do, that I have to pay everybody else for. It's insanity.
Yeah, one of
Sorry,
the things I love to do in this country is drown everybody in as much bureaucracy as possible, unless you can afford to pay someone else to deal with the bureaucracy for you.
The thing that grabbed me there about what you said, James, was that you have to go to a GP, right? And then they'll say, look, you need to see a specialist here. And then you're like, right, you get your referral. That happens here in the UK as well. If you go to a GP and they'll look at you and they'll go, that looks like something you should maybe go and see, like someone that's a specialist. But I'm going to arrange it for you. I'll arrange it for you. I'll get the specialist. You'll get a letter in the mail in a couple of weeks. Here's your appointment time.
You know what happens?
That's just the beginning.
Yeah, that's the beginning.
Step one.
Blah, blah, blah experts in my area. Oh, one of them's in my network. I'm stuck with them.
Yelp reviews.
Appointment 4 months from now.
Once you get a referral, then you have to look at doctors who are in your network and make sure that they take your insurance. It's a whole thing.
And it's worse with specialists because a lot of medical plans, specialists don't like getting on too many plans because they like to mostly work through hospitals, because you get the max, you can charge the max because you're working in a medical facility, and you're literally charging separately for your own part of the process. Like David, when you saw the bill and it said $40,000 for anesthesia, that's because there's a department of anesthesia, and every single person who works in it basically submits their own bill. And then like a big bill goes out from that department after everybody else has put their individual bills in, and there's no negotiating a rate as if it was part of the whole process. So they're all like 20 individual billings that get lumped into one billing that you get. It's
Can I go
insane.
back to my bed now? Can I just go back to my bed? I come in and we're talking about babies dying, and now we're talking about Americans dying through lack of healthcare.
And then I don't know,
50,000 per year. Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know about you, James, or anybody else in the US, but my insurance has changed almost every year, if not every single year. I have had a different health plan. So like if I got a referral in, I don't know, November or December, and I'm not able to get to see a doctor before the year's over, I have to find another doctor in a different network. It's a mess. I haven't got like a breast exam that I need to get because I've been dealing with
how much would that cost? Like if you didn't have insurance and you found a
like because I get sonograms on both, because I have something called fibroadenoma, which is just like fatty mass. It's not cancerous or anything, but they check them, and I think it's $600 without insurance for a sonogram.
I actually thought that was quite cheap. I'm actually starting to getting dragged into that mindset of that sounds good.
$600. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah, right.
But again, though, that's always the beginning of the rabbit hole, because God forbid somebody finds something Then they go, oh, you need to see a specialist. And then you got to go back down. And now you got to cross-reference people in your area that your carrier actually uses. And then you got to try to get an appointment. And then it's the whole fucking cycle over and over again. And it
Well,
just
this
doesn't
is-
get
And
any
they
better.
got to do a biopsy, and you got to wait 2 weeks, and then you have to, and then
Yeah.
every year from then on out, you have to go get whatever fucking thing. Sorry, my mom has gotten multiple, cancerous bullshit going on, so she's
get-
fine. But it's like, yeah, you have to then like have an exam like every fucking forever. Anyway, hi Frezo.
Repeat
Hey,
business.
I
fuck's
just want to
sake.
say that it's 6 o'clock now, and I have a meeting with my work in an hour that I need to do some preparation for. So I love you all, and you're all beautiful and amazing. And
As are you, Frezzo.
You
Oh.
too.
and I'm gonna have to jump off here so I can do some work so I can get some money.
Yeah, got to earn those euros.
I
Bye,
appreciate you
Frezo.
coming on, Frezo.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out.
Every
It's good
week,
to see
man,
you.
you are
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Okay.
Aw.
Hold on.
I was like me
Like
last
you
week. I
said-
couldn't
it's like,
find it. There it is.
All right, let me do this. There we go.
I was just going to comment on this. The structure of the system too doesn't really allow. So libertarians will often say, "Oh well, just you can cash pay. We need to get rid of this insurance system as it exists," and they'll kind of agree that it's broken. But the problem with that is that the system is set up in such a way to extract money from insurance companies. So back when I used to do this, right, I would just not have insurance and I would negotiate my what I was going to pay up front, and it did work. It was a lot of work, but it did work, and I ended up being able to pay less money. But one time I broke my leg, and I went to the doctor, and I was self-paying and all this, and the guy had me coming every week to take my cast off and look at it and do nothing, just basically recast my leg every week so that he could charge the insurance. Like that was
Every
just their
week?
normal. Yeah,
Why?
their normal.
Why every week?
Because then they get to send another bill to the insurance company. But I wasn't I didn't have insurance. And so he's just charging me for nothing. And so the second time I went there, I'm like, look, why am I here? You're just charging me money to look at my leg. It's the same as it was last week. There's nothing wrong. And they're like, well, that's our process. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just not coming back. And so I just took the cast off myself in a month and just hoped for the